All right, so it says we are live on YouTube. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the Continuing Committee's board meeting for August of 2020. I am Maggie Geppert, the Executive Officer. I am standing in today for Brian Schaeflein, our current Director of Operations and Chair, who is, I believe I'm not sure what he's doing today. I think it might involve moving. So I am running the meeting today. So with us, we have, so why don't you gentlemen go ahead and introduce yourselves. So I'll start with Justin.
Justin, Resistance is Futile on the boards, and your current CFO, Chief Financial Officer.
All right, Scott.
Scott Baltman, Neelix Online, and also your current Director of Communications.
All right, Chris.
This is Christopher Sonstabby. I am the Director of Organized Play and Lore on the forums.
All right, and then Charlie.
Hello, my name is Charlie Plain, Midnight Lich on the forums. I'm the Director of First Edition on this board.
All right, so thank you all for being here today. The meeting agenda is pretty light, thankfully. We will have a guest at the end for a public comment period, but we'll go ahead and start with the approval of minutes. So Justin did provide those to us a moment ago. So if you could, Amber I just posted the link to the board meeting and Amber did the same thing. So thank you, Amber, as you are watching along. Anybody with any comments, anything? I didn't see anything that needed to be changed about the meeting minutes.
Neither did I. I move that we approve those minutes as written.
All right, could we get a second? I guess I'll second.
I was going to say, I haven't seen them, unfortunately.
Okay.
I didn't see them either. So.
Oh, okay.
When did they get posted?
About an hour and a half.
Yeah, that was my bad. I thought I had posted them at the end of last meeting. I guess apparently I failed, so I apologize, but they are there now.
Well, it's no big deal. I assume they're fine. Scott and Maggie like them. I'll like them. I'm not worried about it.
All right. Anyone opposed?
No, I'll abstain though, since I haven't looked.
Okay, so I think we've got enough votes. Those are approved. So let's go ahead and do department reports. First up is me. So I have so my volunteering this month for the continuing committee has mostly been reserved for promo assembly. So I received a rather large order of promos to assemble, including all of the ambassador promos, all of the Subspace series promos, Return to Talos 4, Return to Farpoint, and an extra set of Series 20 and Series P for the regular tournament kits. So my volunteer time when I've had time to do that has been locked up with that. So I could just grab a couple of random for people to look at if you want. So,
Ooh, ah.
So shameless plug for the Return to Talos 4 and the Return to Farpoint series on the part of the Subspace series. We have the promos now.
Now Chris is really sad that his internet is out because he can't see the video.
We'll see him soon enough.
I do. Yeah, I was going to say, aren't they getting shipped to me? I'll see all of them soon enough.
Yes, they are getting shipped to you. So that'll happen sometime this week. I know you've been Chris has been packaging. Chris has badly been packaging and mailing off prize sets for the Subspace Championship series. So I know those are there. So that's been my big thing, but I have plans this upcoming month for working, I know I keep saying this every month, to work on the frequently asked question. I've got some stuff. I want to put together a welcome to the site video. So if any of you know of any particular features of the Trek CC site that we should promote, that I'm going to put that sort of stuff in a video to put in the frequently asked questions.
So Maggie, do you want to do that video now, or do you want to wait until we finish site migration? Because you might
I
have.
was probably going to wait till we finish site migration.
All right, I think that's a good idea, since hopefully that will happen next month.
Indeed. So that's part of Brian's report. So that's what I've been working on as executive officer this month.
I just want to make it clear, I do not believe this is just maintenance. It's not like website 2.0. It's just
No, it is not. It's not
updating
website.
back-end technology. So,
Yeah, that's in Brian's report. So I'll make sure to read that out when we do the Department of Operations report. But yeah, that's been what I've been up to as XO. And so then let's do Charlie tell us about what's up with first edition.
First edition is marching along quite well. I say this repeatedly, but I need to thank all of the team leaders and volunteers that the Department of First Edition has that makes managing the game so easy. James Heaney's been in his position as Rules Master about 6 months now, and he's been killing it. Jason Robinette and Dan Hammond have been getting I's dotted and T's crossed to launch the balance team. They're doing a good job. Austin Chandler is managing playtesting, and Patty is doing creative. And they all just do such a good job. I don't have to sweat details much. So Woody is going nicely. Project Londo, which is the TOS Klingon set, is in production, and we just got the first proof built by the art team, where they take our development cards and build them officially, and we're getting that proofread right now. I know most of the art images are done, so this is coming towards release, and I should be announcing that set title on Tuesday. I don't believe I've announced it publicly yet. If I have, I look stupid. But, then that will be coming out hopefully at the end of the month or very early October. Project Storm, which is the next expansion after that, is based on the last 10 episodes of Deep Space Nine. It's not a comprehensive look at those episodes. It's just an expansion that's drawing its source material from there, but it's in testing now. And that team, led by Smiley, Christopher Wicker, is working pretty hard on it, and it's going to be going nicely. And then Project On Guard, which is a lapsed project, has finally fired back up again. That's going to be a dual deck project. So it's going to be a TNG Fed deck versus a TNG Cardassian deck. And the idea would be, if it was a physical product, you would buy it and it would have both decks in it. And they're being designed and built to play very well against each other. So if you have a friend or a spouse and you want to get into the game at a more competitive level, but you don't know what to do, you can grab these decks. And they're also being designed so that if you know how to play and you're not ready to build a deck yet, or you've been playing TNG and you're ready to move into a more complete set of the game, you can show up at a tournament and not get obliterated. You know, if you bring a TNG starter deck to a tournament, you're going to get slaughtered. These are sort of 2 steps up from that. You know, if you're relatively new, you're not going to win a tournament with it, but if you know what you're doing, you should win a couple of your games with these decks. So they're serving a couple different masters, so they're complicated, but that project has fired up, and we're doing internal testing with it now. So beyond that, Project Rogue and Project Solo are next year's 2 big block sets. They are getting started on design. and we'll be moving into testing later in the early next year, most likely. Had more stuff I wanted to talk about. So hopefully in September, I will be releasing a detailed plan for the next 5 or so years and beyond of First Edition. Not so much this expansion here, but more what I think the priorities are, what I think the goals are, and how I want us to get to them. And I've been working on that for over a year, taking a lot of my volunteer hours, but it's being reviewed internally right now, and then hopefully releasing that to the public next month. So we'll have a lot to talk about there. And there are other big projects in the works that I'm still not ready to announce yet, but I'm hoping to make some big announcements very soon about some really cool projects that I want to do that will recruit more people into our volunteer community. Overall, I think 1E is marching along nicely, and people are playing as much as they can in the wake of continuing pandemic, and seeing lots of online play, which is nice. And I'm very happy with where the department is. Again, thanks to the talents and passion of our volunteer corps. It's amazing.
Charlie, I have a question for you this just came to my mind about First Edition.
Okay.
Is any I'm curious, have any conclusions been drawn from the TNG format public playtest?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of analysis of the deck lists, and I've talked to a lot of the players, not all of them, but a lot of the players that played, and the general response was good. People seem to really enjoy the format. There are some questions about the Borg, but the general sense that we have right now is that it's not, the Borg are okay, will be okay in that format if we can give some more better dilemmas that hurt the Borg in that format. That's one of the problems with TNG format, is that the really nasty anti-Borg cards don't play in that card pool. So we're talking about the two paths forward are either removing the Borg from that format, which would be, I think, unfortunate. It's a nice solid option for people to be able to play, or let's add some weaponry to the game, to that card pool, to make the Borg a little less good. And so that's where we're sort of exploring right now. We've put a few, so I'm working ahead. Oh, I just thought that's one of the other things I wanted to say, and that's reminded me. One of the things that's coming back this coming Friday is the promo a week. We started that and then took 3 weeks off so that 2E could release a set. That's coming back on Friday. And we're working on the next set of those, the next set of promo weeks. And there are a couple cards we put in there specifically to address the Borg power level. And then there's another future promo set that has some anti-TNG Borg stuff in it. We also have the option of putting new cards in expansions to deal with that. That's sort of the advantage of defining the format by the property logo, is whenever we need a card to deal with something in that deck, all you have to do is give it a TNG story and it's in that format. So we are taking some small steps. It's going to take a while, and we will probably run another playtest with some adjustments either later this year or early next year. Basically just do what we did last time, only adjust the card pool some. We may say, play as if these 10 cards were TNG illegal, or there will have been more cards added since the last test started. So that's on the agenda. So overall, I was pretty happy with how that went. The reception seemed good. It seems to fill that niche of a constructed format with a smaller total card pool. It doesn't fill the niche of a rotating card pool. Something else will have to come along and do that. But it does fill the desire for a smaller constructed format. So I'm optimistic.
right, thank you. Any other questions for Charlie? All right, then. All right, Charlie, do you have your Groucho mask ready for the second edition report now?
No, I don't have any masks. TUI is marching along nicely. We just put out all our yesterdays. It's the second set this year, the first since April, and the first what we call standard expansion since last October. So a lot of people are very excited to see things moving again. There's been discussion about the set. Not all of it's good, but I think that's reality. You know, every time we put out a product, not all of it's good. I think some people are going to need to play with the cards. I think it's pretty obvious that this set was at a higher complexity level than a lot of other sets, and I don't know that that's bad inherently, but it is feedback that the department is taking to heart. And it's definitely something that is in my notes to hand to the new director of second edition. But I do want to thank Richard and Lucas and Nathan and Alexi for their hard work. I think there's some stuff in there that will end up being used more than the buzz on the forum suggests. But time will tell. We'll see. That's always how these new expansions are. People predict this, and this, and then X, Y, and Z happens, and who knows. But I do want to thank all the volunteers that worked hard on that, from the art team to the creative team, to the play testers who did a Herculean amount of work on it, to the designers, to the creative team, to the rules team, to everybody. They worked really hard, and I'm very proud to have played a small part in bringing that set to release. Speaking of TUI, we have a very crowded fourth quarter planned. So I mentioned on the One-E report that Project Londo is coming next, and hot on the heels of that will be Project Clark for TUI, which is essentially done with development. Proofreading is finishing up this week. The rules team has pretty much finished everything. The creative team had made a couple last-minute changes based on playtester feedback, proofreader feedback, sorry. And that set's going to be going, the art note, what we call the art notes, which is the creative suggestions for images, went out to the art team last week, so the art volunteers can start digging through their source material and finding images for cards. And then basically once art finishes with the One-E set, we're going to send them the TUI set to the Project Clark to get going on. The promo for that is done. Is going to go off to get printed here soon, and you'll be seeing Project Clark probably in October, possibly very early November. Project Donar 2 has gone to play testing. That is the twice delayed Christmas set that was designed with the Valentine's set that became Cupid in 2018, I think. 2017, it was a while ago. And it went to testing and got very, very good initial feedback. And it's cool. It's a little bit of something for everything. It's sort of a Christmas themed set, not in terms of like Christmas within the world of Star Trek, although there is one card from a Christmassy story, but more in the sense of like food and family and friends and booze and giving and charity. And then there's a Grinch card in there as well, because you have to have a Grinch. But yeah, it went to testing 2 weeks ago, and the initial buzz was very good from the testers. The design team made a number of changes based on initial feedback, and version B of that set should be going to testers tomorrow. And if everything goes well, or mostly well, that set should be coming out right around Christmas time. It may not be fully released at Christmas. It may spill into January a little bit, but hopefully not. And so that will mean we'll have put out three TUI sets in 4 months after putting out two TUI sets in 9 months. I want to be clear that this is not a new precedent. This is not a new normal. This is just clearing through the pipeline. of things that were backed up. And since the sets are smaller, they're 27 cards or less, it's essentially only slightly more cards than you would get in a full 54 set card expansion. So it's not like a huge influx of cards. It's just sort of broken up a little bit. So beyond that, we do have 2 more projects that are being worked on that were decided under previous administrators. Project Connor is the second half of Project Clark. Nick Yankovic thought Clark was good but too big, so he split it in half. So Project Clark is coming out now, and then Project Connor will be next up in queue. So once Project Dinar gets through testing, Project Connor will go to testing, and then would probably be coming out late in the first quarter in 2021. And then Project Diana is still in design. That's the 4th and final set in the interaction cycle, and that would be going to testing after Connor is done for a release in the 2nd or 3rd quarter of 2020. There isn't anything beyond that right now. As I said, when I took on the role of TUI interim director, I'm not looking to set agendas. Depending on how long the TUI search goes, there may be a need to pencil in something to get work going, because we'll otherwise not have anything. I've talked to Nathan a little bit about a couple ideas of what we can do that is in the lines of like a cutting room floor set, or a bonus feature DVD type expansion where it's sort of using stuff that was cut from previous projects and not really setting a new, it's not going to be like Skills Matter 2021 or anything like that. We're not going to be doing any discussions like that. That's for the next director to do. But there is a date at which something has to enter the pipeline, or there will be a massive gap in the schedule. And we're not there yet, but I'm trying to plan ahead. So TUI's, it's been good to see discussion about the game again on the forums. It's been good to see regular articles going up. I'm expecting that to continue after there were weekly articles going up before All Our Yesterdays, and then had all the All Our Yesterday spoilers, and we're going to go back to weekly articles, just talking about TUI again, which is good to see. So I eagerly await the selection of another director so that I can step back. But I'm happy to continue serving as long as I am needed. And I want to thank again all of the volunteers and hard-working staff and department heads on the TUI side who have had a rough year, but are doing good work nonetheless.
All right, thank you for both of those reports, Charlie. I forgot to say, maybe we should put something in the middle between those so you don't have to speak that long. So I apologize for that. All right, Scott, you're up next for communications.
Yeah, I'm still getting into the swing of things. Glad to say that I had a couple of minutes to talk to Charlie some about the newsletter, because Brian Shaper sent me the information to get logged into our 2 different email newsletter platforms. We do that so that we can keep within the free limits of both of those softwares, so we don't have to quote unquote waste any extra committee resources. But I think it looks good. And the goal right now is to take those newsletters and focus more on leading people to the articles that we have already posted on our website. We don't have to reinvent the wheel or rediscover the warp drive here. We can basically drive traffic to the site by saying, hey, here are some cool articles that you may have missed if you haven't been going to the website every single day. And then that, makes our newsletter look very active and full, because we've had some really good articles posted recently, and we want to use that as just another platform to reach out to people. And let's see, what else have I done? Oh, Robin from our Ambassador Corps, he posted on the forums just today, actually, talking about the next Ambassador Foil promo. So discussions are ongoing about that. And then I want to say thanks to Danny for working to get All Our Yesterdays stuff promoted on social media as we've been rolling out that new set for 2E. And then most of the rest of my Trek CC time has been taken up with the special project of looking for the new second edition director. So I'll talk about that a little bit later.
All right, thank you for the report, Scott. Yeah, I just saw that Robin. I was pleased to see that he's picking up steam on that. All right, then next on the agenda, we have ops. So Brian did submit a report for operations. So very quickly, just have a couple of things here. First off, new achievements have been put in for the new second edition set. Thank you, Marcus and Rogue, for putting those together. I hear one of them might be about Harbinger. So just a little thing there. All right, the art team is transitioning from work on the second edition set to the next first edition set, as Charlie indicated. Thanks to Art, I'll put this out here, for all their hard work on all our yesterdays, and now for the next first edition set. Programming team has been squashing bugs revealed during the internal testing of the software upgrades. So they are now preparing for release of the first major upgrade to the forum, which is scheduled to happen on September 12th. So Brian did put out an article about this. We are migrating to a new server on September 12th. It is likely that the site's going to be down on the 12th. So don't panic if it's not there. That is a Saturday, so don't panic if it's not there. And it said, for more details, please see the news article that was published. All right, any questions about operations? All right, then organized play. So Chris, take it away on OP.
Chris, if you're talking, you're muted.
Maggie muted me, so I had to just press it on the phone. So organized play. First off, just point out or comment to Charlie's point, that new set that dropped. I know Maggie's running an all our yesterday's release event in about a week. I'm really excited to get some new past Klingons in the game. The interaction side, battle side, a little bit different, but you just look at those guys from a skill and cost ratio, they're really interesting. So I'm looking to build decks. As Maggie also alluded to earlier, I've got all of the prize packs for the United States Nationals in the first few weeks of the Subspace Championship Series, pretty much all the tribbles side of that. Those are out in the mail. My wife and I helped me, this last week. It was every night after work. We just pounded through and get them out there. So I hope all of you who played will enjoy the prizes we put together, and keep playing the game. That's the number one thing. We've got a lot of tournaments online that are happening right now. If you're able to play in person, please do so. If you're not okay with that, consider giving online a try. Maggie and I played in the online Not a Worlds. That was yesterday. That was for second edition. And I think right now the online 1E version of Not a Worlds continues to run. They're on a every week schedule versus yesterday's event was a one-day event. Other than that, the Subspace Championship Series continues to roll on. We've got some sealed action, I think, starting this week. And, like we said, a couple of people have been playing in person or are scheduled to play in person. I think this coming week there's a regional in Chicago and there's a regional in Germany, I believe. So best of luck to all the participants in those events. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers the organized play report. Any questions for me that I can't see in the chat room or whatever?
Nothing, but I'll shamelessly plug for Armis. His return to Talos 4 is Voyager constructed. So you can only use cards from Voyager and the Borg for this, which is, like, to me, an entirely intriguing format. And then the return to
absolutely, and that's the sealed I referenced is a very interesting format for anybody interested. it's what do you get, 4 packs of reflections, and then you get to decide what starter you want. So that's going to be pretty crazy. Totally different take on Sealed, and that's the return to Farpoint event for this coming month. So I will be playing in it. I think Maggie is also signed up for it, right?
Yeah, I am signed up for that. And big, like, huge props to Marcus for programming the Ref 2.0 packs. And Lackey to set up the packs in Lackey. So that's
Absolutely.
really, yeah. So I think that's going to be a ton of fun.
That's the return to Farpoint covering.
Reflections. The return to Farpoints. This is a Reflections 2.0 sealed. So you get 4 packs of reflections, and then you get to look at your packs and you get to choose which starter you want to use for it.
That's pretty good.
And there are, I think, 18 cards in those reflections packs. So that's a pretty good chunk of cards from all of the first 5 sets that came up before it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right. Well, that was what I wanted to do. And also Tuesday Night Tribbles, another shameless plug.
Plug it all you want. I've been playing with the Degenerates every Tuesday. If you have any interest in playing online in a very casual way to learn how Lackey works, that's the best way to do it. If you don't have a deck, anybody will be able to hand you one and you can play. We've picked up a couple of new online people so far who had not played online before, and they're really enjoying it. I've got some really positive feedback, specifically from Jeremy Benedict, but I know that, VZ's jumping in there. Richard New jumped in there. We got some people who are trying it out. So if you can, please consider joining Tribbles Anonymous with the rest of us.
Might have to bring back the Go-Go Stampede discard deck.
I will bring all the toxins then.
I was going to say good luck with that.
All right, so next, so that's OP. So Justin, go ahead and tell us financial status.
Oh, everything's been pretty quiet. Lots of activity with all our yesterday's release kits going out, which is great. Great to see that the Promenade is staying fairly caught up, which is great. That'll continue to support the income. Haven't got the order for playmats for the new championship season yet, so that's coming for whatever year it is next year. So we'll need to be doing that. Whether we're doing mats or trebles mats, what have you. And yeah, not much going on. Just the giant promo order, if we can get that. I did not see an invoice for that yet, so hopefully Jeremy can get that invoice to me. I checked as of this morning. I did not see an invoice in the inbox, so we'll get that and get that paid as soon as I see it.
Justin, I would just say I know that we were talking internally of the promos. I think we've nailed down those first few sets. The regionals and masters combo, I think we've got pretty much nailed down, and it'll be the year of the Bajoran, correct, Maggie? That's what we're looking at. So it'll be a lighter purple, I think, Matt. And I think we had just the correct amount this year for our masters, so we'd probably make a similar order for mats. I've heard from several people they like the smaller Tribbles mouse pads. I think those are really cool. So I would expect that invoice could be there in the next week or so if we officially wrap it up, right, Maggie?
Yeah, we've kind of petered out. We're Bajorans are a little limited on the which if we're going to continue with the ship and commander pair for the regionals and the masters, they're a little limited, and a lot of their ships and or their commanders have already gotten promos, so we're still debating there a little bit. I keep jokingly saying pyre for hire, but that's really no.
That does not seem to be going anywhere. But I think the last one, I'm trying to find the thread while I'm talking to you guys. I thought we were set on who we thought would be good for that ship commander pair. We're only going to run into one type of squishy spot with this ship, right? I thought from who we were looking at. for the first one.
Yeah, I think we've got it nailed down. We do. So we just need to go and talk about the other ones and figure out Tribble's powers. But yeah, we're getting very
Yep.
close on that. We should, yeah, well, let's wrap that up this week, Chris.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so any other questions for Justin about finances? All right, then Scott, go ahead and give us an update on the search for second edition director, and I'm going to go ahead and send Sandy the Zoom link for that for the public comment period. So those are our last two things.
I
Yeah.
believe Jules also wanted to join that call, so you might want to send it to Jules as well for public comment.
I think Maggie is saying that she is.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't-
sorry. I will send that to Jules. I didn't realize he wanted in on that. So I will send him the link as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, second edition director search. This has been a very dynamic and quick moving process. The search team that I spoke about last meeting is now down to 5 people instead of 7. Also, several changes in the composition of who is applying to be second edition director, as some people have dropped out. So the search team for now, we have gone down to just 5. Nerdopolis Prime departed, and we currently are comprised. Also, Nathan Miracle departed, and Derek Marsh departed. So we currently are comprised of myself as search team lead, Amber Van Bremen, Michael Shea, Phil Schrader has joined in to replace Nathan, and our 5th member is Gorgo Primus, Ben Rosticker. So we do still have an odd number of committee members, which was an important thing to avoid any sort of tie votes, because that would just make the process take even longer. And then also, we had a couple of candidates drop out. Caretaker's guest declared that he wouldn't have the time, and his own individual health concerns made it where he didn't want to be in contention for directorship anymore. And then also, sadly, as many people know, Ben Liebig, Monty 42, has also dropped out of consideration. I'm sad that both of those folks have dropped out of consideration, because I feel that we get a great candidate by having a large field of candidates. But this is just the nature of the beast when it comes to the world we live in and the way that, searching to fill empty positions works. So that means that our current crop of candidates are Nator, Sandy, Tajark, and Claricel TOB. So we do have, as you can tell from those screen names, 2 folks from America, 2 folks from USA, and 2 folks from Europe. So we are hoping that those 4 people will give us a really good crop of candidates to choose from. And the search team and I are planning to do our first video interview with Nator this Wednesday. So hopefully we will have a good video to post up soon after, and we will stream it live. And I do have some questions that I have been submitted to me from the public that were on a message board thread. And so I'm trying to think if I need to add anything else to this report. I don't think so. That's where we are. 5 search team members and 4 current candidates. We are still accepting applications through September the 15th, because I thought a good month worth of time would be a good time window for people to be able to decide if they want to apply, and then reach out to me on the forums to let me know. We have nailed down a written list of questions that I'm sending to each applicant first. Then they'll respond to those written questions, and I'll post their responses on the forum, subforum that we've made just for the search team members. And then we also have some standard questions that we're sending to folks ahead of time before their individual video interviews. Hopefully that means that the video interviews will run a little smoothly and nobody feels like a question comes out of left field. But I encourage any applicants out there to look over the particular thread on the forums where we have asked for public comment questions, because that way, whoever is being video interviewed will have a basic idea about what they're going to be asked. We don't want these video interviews to drag on and on and on, but we also don't want people to feel like they got, ambushed by a question or whatever.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So you're going to post the video interviews as they happen and not all together at the end?
I thought we might just do it live streamed like we do here. I don't know. Do you think we should do it like last time and put them all at the end?
That's really up to you, but my concern would be that the people who go later have an advantage because they can know what the other candidates said and rebut them or adjust accordingly.
I guess that's possible. Having been involved in that process before, I don't really think of the video interviews as one candidate rebutting the other. You know what? I'll bring it up to the search team, Charlie, and see what they think. Because we didn't want to do everything precisely the same way we did last time, but that doesn't mean we don't want to keep any of the good stuff from last time. So, yeah, we'll discuss it. That's a good point, Charlie.
I'm glad to see we've got a wide range of candidates, both from both sides of the water. So that's awesome. I look forward to following this process.
Yeah, I was happy about that too. It was a bit of a concern that we didn't have any European folks on the search team, but at the very least, that means we do have it. Currently, 50% of the candidates are from the European theater. So.
All right, well, thank you very much, Scott, for that report. If there's no other questions, I'll admit Sandy and also Julius to this meeting now. So welcome, Sandy Barnabas. Is that correct? Barnabas?
It's Barnabas. But...
Barnabas. Oh, okay, cool. No, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And also thank you to Julius Melhart for joining us for the public comment period here. So Sandy, why don't you go ahead and ask us your question.
Sure. I think that my question is more around the kind of swim lanes between the CC as a sanctioning body for organized play and the other roles of the CC when it comes to design, being a hub, a community hub, et cetera. Specifically, is it the position of the, obviously not every tournament has to be sanctioned and not every tournament has to be official or organized play related. And I think the OPG actually specifically calls out non-sanctioned tournaments. However, it's unclear to me what the relationship between a non-sanctioned tournament and the rest of the CC is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you're, so I mean, I guess some background on this is the advertisement for the Vegas tournament that's happening Columbus Day weekend.
Yeah.
That tournament, if you choose to run that tournament, you can put it into our system as a level 1 tournament.
Yeah, which I think Brian might have already.
Okay.
Sykes may have already.
Yeah, so that would make it a sanctioned tournament. If you were trying to, do something funny with one of the formats that's not listed in the organized play guide, and we have some unsanctioned formats like Beermeister, and some other weird stuff like Bend the Rules, and I don't know, there's whatever that weird second edition format is where we roll a dice and you get extra rules, whatever. So there are unsanctioned formats out there, and people are still free to advertise even unsanctioned tournaments at our, for our on our site, and that's fine. The specific problem that came was just the use of the name that was a little too close to our North American Continental Championship. So that was the issue with that particular tournament.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. And I think that I mean, I went through the OPG and found all of the instances of like official tournament names, because we had this fiasco with us calling it Worlds before we had even like started promoting it, or I forget who posted on the boards the first time, but that was definitely like a concern. So I wanted to make sure we avoided that. And it wasn't really clear to me, one, that the guidelines in the OPG don't really talk about promotion. They say that a tournament has to exist in the system to be promoted, which is fine. But there's no like I think that the confusion aspect seems maybe arbitrary. I don't think there was no indication this was run by the CC. There's no kind of like thought around taking over continentals and for the record, every time I've heard North American continental championships referred to by people, they've called it continentals and not North American continentals or even continental championships, which may have led to my belief that calling something the Tower of Commerce North American Championships wouldn't be confusing. More generally, though, I think going forward, and this particular incident, it's fine, whatever. I don't have to post our material there, or I can change the name, whatever we decide. But more generally, I want to make sure that one, it's not a violation of any rules to promote non-CC tournaments, and there's a lot of reasons why we wouldn't necessarily want to be sanctioned, and I think the rules for sanctioning, like there are very clear tournament guidelines and things that we may want to stretch or change or modify in some way. And we want to have the flexibility to be able to do that basically without having to go through an additional process involving other people, because we're the ones running the tournament. That's kind of the reasoning behind why we're not making more of an effort to be officially sanctioned and like underwritten or whatever you want to call it by the CCOP.
Okay. As we've kind of mentioned, you would just advertise an event like that in the local tournaments thread on the forums. And if your tournament is input in the system, you just want to keep track of it. It would be something like the Cool tournament or something else that does not affect rating. Or if you don't want to at all, you don't have a tournament input in the system at all, and you just continue to advertise it in the local tournament thread.
So just to be clear then, the organized play forum is not necessarily just for organized play on the CC. It's for any tournament, no matter what. Because that was to me confusing.
Tournament directors are allowed to post to certain threads in their local tournaments is the number one where all of those events get posted to advertise.
Right. Okay. I guess my in the interest of player confusion, or in the interest of mitigating player confusion, I didn't want to give the impression that this was a CC organized play event, which is why I didn't post there. And I think Brian actually did post there after the fact, and then it got moderated because of the name. Is that?
I'm not sure what you keep saying you don't want it sanctioned, which to me says then it's nothing to do with organized play at all. So why is it on our site? I guess that's what I'm.
Okay, yeah, and that's actually thank you for phrasing it that way, because that is exactly my question: is the continuing committee forums a community hub, or is it only for continuing committee sanctioned tournaments? Like, in other words, if I have an unsanctioned Star Trek event, whether it's a card game tournament or something that people on the forum may find interesting, is that something that I can post here, or is it strictly for CC related things? Because what you're saying is if it's not sanctioned, then it shouldn't be on the forums at all.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that any tournament related post that is a local event, which is what this is, it's not a continental, it's not a Masters, it's not a national, it's not a Worlds. You can post it in that forum. And if you are saying you want to run a completely unsanctioned tournament, then the event does not get put into our system. It doesn't affect rating. I think all of those things are fine.
Yeah, then it's not a local tournament either, because it's not in the system.
So maybe I could offer a a suggestion that maybe as long as, and Chris, you can feel free to say no since this is your bailiwick, that if you have an event like that, then maybe if you're making sure that you're saying this is not a sanctioned event, it won't be in the CC's, system, that maybe it could go in all things track.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe,
I think
or maybe the buzz.
where did it end up getting, where did Rob's post go? I think it was in local tournaments actually is where it got moderated as well, because the name was confusing despite Continentals not being in the name at all. That's
totally fine. That's totally fine with me. If you don't want it in all things or in local tournaments, you want it in all things track. I don't care with that. That's fine.
okay. That's great. So there's no to reiterate my question and make sure that I understand correctly. There's no issue with promoting non-sanctioned events. They just can't be promoted in the general, like in the gameplay forum, for example. They would have to go under all things track. Is that the policy?
I don't, Sandy, I don't monitor the forums. I'm just saying if it's not misleading, meaning to me means it's not posted in the nationals thread or in the
that's
world
fine.
thread or whatever.
That was never a consideration. I've never posted in the nationals thread or the world's thread. I think I posted in the gameplay forum.
My point is, I think that's why somebody moved it to local tournaments, because that's where every local TD on the ground, whether they're running it at home, away, wherever, that's where those posts go. That's to my understanding is why a moderator moved it down.
Yeah,
I don't think it was moved.
The gameplay. So just to get out of the minutia of who did what, where, and when. I mean, it's what happened historically, but I do think that the gameplay forum is not necessarily the best place for event promotion, although people have done that in the past too. So I'm uncertain. That's the kayfabe, or however you pronounce that. I don't watch wrestling, so Scott, you can.
Well, the 10-year precedent is that anybody running an event outside of the organized play track puts it on the local tournament page.
Brian, for example, Armis had
You
a
pronounced
post
that
about,
correctly, by the way, Maggie. Good job.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. The kayfabe threads for Continentals, I'm calling you out, and wrestling pictures things have all gone up on gameplay. So we don't. I think that the where things are has not been fast and loose, and I think that the problem more was what it was rather than where it was.
Yeah, and I think that the I'm not sure that the confusion aspect of it being confused with real Continentals is necessarily, and again, I refer to it as Continentals, not North American Championships, North American Continental Championships. I don't think that's necessarily an issue in terms of anyone seeing it and being confused. I will say that even more recently, there was a post in gameplay around a poll of who would win a certain, like the Corbett caravan that Armis posted that didn't get moderated. So from this, like my guidance seems to be that post the link to the event itself in All Things Track, post like other questions or like not questions, but promotional material, maybe like polls or surveys in gameplay. Is that accurate? Can I continue to do that without being moderated?
That seems like a reasonable set of guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you guys want to talk trash, I mean, I think that should be allowed in the gameplay, because like you said, we had Sykes doing that earlier, and people have done that for years, and it's fun and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to start
I'm totally bad at that.
I mean, just throwing this out there, like if I wanted to run a fantasy league sort of for this tournament where you pick what affiliation is going to win or like what the top 4 will be or something like that, I could post that in gameplay. Okay, great.
Yes. That would
Thanks
be-
for clarifying. I appreciate the time. I think that the confusion here on my side stemmed from a couple of things, mostly previous monitorial actions for posting things, and also my reading of the OPG, which suggested that if something was not sanctioned, it still was registered on the site and it wouldn't be organized play, which is why I was hesitant to post it there. But Chris, thanks for clarifying that I can post it under local tournaments if it's in the system.
And I did see a suggestion from Michael Shea in the YouTube chat saying, why don't we create an unsanctioned category in the OP forums? Then anybody can post anything unsanctioned
Yeah,
there.
sorry,
So
I haven't.
I think that would also be I think that would be a good idea and something that's easily implemented.
Okay, great.
I just want to say that to the people that are accusing this organization of like stopping people from playing and organizing, that's not what's happening. We didn't, this organization did not handle this situation very well, and I'm sorry for that, but this can just get worked out, and there's no reason this can't not be a problem. Just, you know, and if you guys don't think North American Championships is a problem, and Chris and the OP team do, then let's figure out a way. I mean, I understand that you've registered this event and there are documents that use that name, but it's like, my question to you, Sandy, is you may not care and your organization may not care, but if the CC, at least on some level, does, can that be worked out moving forward so events are named in a way that both parties are happy, and then this never has to happen again?
Well, I mean, to use a programming term, I don't want a namespace collision, if that makes sense. I don't want confusion at all. But I also think that, does that mean that the CC will take our advice in what to name its tournaments to avoid confusion? Because I would not expect that. And I don't think it's necessarily I think there's a place of mutual understanding, but I'm not sure that we can't call our highest level events and we actually have names that are Star Trek themed for them, sovereign class events, and maybe we'll just lean into that more rather than have the geographic or championship whatever, which is fine. I think we can come to I'll have to discuss this with people that are actually putting together the tournaments, but I don't see why that's a problem.
Yeah, and Sandy, we're perfectly willing to monitor that too, because we I'll point out when we were putting together the Subspace Championship series, we looked at a lot of different names, and one of the names I really liked had the word invitational in it. And then somebody's like, "Let's step in on the dojo," and I'm like, don't step on the dojo. So we're flexible that way.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think at the end of the day, getting more people playing in tournaments is everybody's goal. And to, I think, Chris's point, nobody, and maybe it was Julius that messaged me this, no one should be confused going into a tournament as to who's running it or how it affects their rating or achievements or anything like that. That's definitely not my intention. I don't want to con people into coming a tournament because they think they're going to get credit for achievements or ratings and then not have that happen.
All right. Well,
Brian Sykes is asking, why can't the Vegas event be sanctioned as level 1 regardless of what TOC authorities decide to do? And I think it can. That's a decision that you guys have to make. I don't believe anybody in the CC said you can't sanction this event as a level 1 event. You can't. You can put it in the tournament system. You can make it a level 1. If you want to do a weird card pool or something, you can do that too. There's precedent for that. You just put it all in the tournament description and make it well known in advance.
Right.
I mentioned that. You can do unusual things at the level 1 level. That's what the level 1 level is designed for. I mean, I just ran a level 1 tournament with a card pool that didn't exist in the system, and everybody was fine with it. There is no issue with you guys doing things unusually at the level 1 level. So
yeah, and I think
I was under the impression that you didn't want it to be level 1, and that's why you weren't doing it. If you want it to be level 1, make it level 1. And then
no, I have no issues with that. I think the concern I had was reading through, again, the OPG, which is my only source on these things, didn't seem to suggest that was feasible. I want the flexibility to change the rules in order to be more inviting to new players. I want flexibility to change, for example, how you do pairings or tiebreakers or end of round, et cetera, without having, I guess, a floor fight about it. Anyway, thanks again for your time. I appreciate all of you taking the time to listen to my concerns and address them.
Yeah, and I just want to say I agree with everything that Charlie had to say, and I am really glad to see that both Chris and Julius are talking with Sandy directly, because I think one of the things that Charlie so rightly pointed out was part of the overreaction was that people weren't communicating, in perhaps the best and most efficient way, and there was some reactionary stuff from both sides, and I'm just glad to see Sandy talking to these guys, and I'm glad to see a group of players who want to have events. Like we said, people want to play, and we want to help them play.
Yes, thank you for coming on. And Julia, since you graciously came, do you have any other comments you want? But I do want to wrap this up because this is the last thing. We have one question from the boards about a different topic, one question from the chat room about a different topic. But Julius, any quick comments?
Yes, of course. There's one thing that bothers me a lot. I cannot remember any guy from the organized play section of the continuing committee prohibiting any events in the past. The only events we decided to cancel have been the three bigs this year: Continentals, and Worlds. It was free for anybody to make tournaments. It was not that we said, no, you can't have physical tournaments, and I don't understand why it's so necessary now, and why it's made public that the UP needs help, that we need more tournaments. I don't get the point. I'm sorry. Maybe you can enlighten me a little bit, Sandy.
So I would respond to that with another question. Why do you need a CC at all? Like, what is there's no reason, there's nothing preventing you from doing any of this without formal organization either. The only reason, and I think I responded to your message about this as well, why we have an organization or a company that is dedicated to running events is because I don't think it's like me running one-off events isn't sufficient to bring the game to the state that I want it to be at. And to be clear, the motivation for this is I want to write an online platform to play the game. I want to run events. I want to invite new players into the game in a setting that I can actually control most of, and I can't do that by myself. And any sort of organizational structure that is like ad hoc is not stable. So I wanted to formalize it with a company. It's exactly the same reasoning why the continuing committee exists. Because any sort of endeavor that requires more than one person's free time probably needs organizational oversight. So.
Well, you said again right now, what do we need the CC for? That's what's your initial sentence now?
Yes.
What do we need the CC for?
By your logic.
Okay.
Nothing stopping you from doing that.
Okay. So you're telling me that you only play with original Decipher cards at your tournament?
No. I think you missed my point. You asked why.
But that is something the CC has done and produced in the last couple of years.
Right, but nothing prevented you from, as an individual, making those cards and publishing them on the website. Why do you need to have an organization around that? If you can answer that, and I think there's a very clear and good answer, you'll see why Tower of Commerce is an organization dedicated to running events. It's exactly the same principle. I don't think there's really much to explain there.
Okay.
All right. Well, I look forward to hopefully forming a mutually beneficial relationship between the continuing committee and the Tower of Commerce going forward in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think, like I said, my goal is to get new players into the game. It does not overlap with the CC's, any of the areas where the CC has jurisdiction, except insofar as running events. And I think we can come to a clear agreement that that's mutually beneficial.
All right. Well, Sandy and Julius, thank you both for joining us in this public comment period. Also, Sandy, I'm looking forward to seeing you next Monday.
Yeah, I got to find a
live-
deck that I want to play. That's
live,
it.
live and in person. It's full open, by the way, standard at for my regional, not Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so I can run my personal duty ×2, GOM2 ×3 dilemma pile
Yes, yes, you
from
can.
the
And-
old days.
Yes, yes, you can. All right. Well, thank you very much. We have one last question. We have one last question from the from the chat room that I noticed. Oh, it's from Nerdopolis Prime. The board, does the board care to point out where in the bylaws it explicitly says that the 2E director is not allowed to insert a person of bad standing into one of their teams? I will say this, Sandy's laughing. What I will say is that there is nothing, as far as I can tell from the legal side in the bylaws, but from the practical standpoint of a member in good standing does not have access to the forums where our business is conducted. On a practical level, it's not a good idea. All right, so that's all I'm going to say on that. I don't have I don't have a article.
Didn't we say last time that whomever the new director is, should they want to do that, they can bring it up for discussion?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
we
pretty
said
sure
that
last time.
we said that this is an option. It's if you want me to say right now that the new director can bring in whoever they want, that's not what this board has decided. But whoever the new director is can come and make a case, and then they can have that discussion at that time. I thought we covered this last week. If that's unclear, please reach out.
Yeah, we did cover this last time. So since it was asked and I more or less knew the answer, I wanted to put that out there. But we are done with our with the agenda. So does anybody else have any other comments? All right, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, Scott moves, second.
I'll second.
All right, Charlie seconds. Anyone opposed? All right, so then I adjourn this meeting for August of 2020 of the Board of the Continuing Committee. Thank you all for joining us today.